Hi. As we approach the election on Tuesday, I thought it'd be interesting to look back to how Abraham Lincoln was elected in 1860. Probably one of the other important elections of our history. We're probably second most important to that one, or 1800 maybe is in there, but in any case. The story of Lincoln's election begins in 1857, when the Dred Scott decision came down. That was a decision by the U.S. Supreme Court that said that you could not ban slavery in any state in the United States. So that if a guy from a slave state went to a free state, he was entitled to bring his luggage and retain possession of his property and his human property. He could keep his slave when he moved into that state. And Dred Scott Taney, the chief judge, wrote, "The Negro has no rights that the white man is obliged to recognize." The most horrific decision the court's ever made. And that put the issue squarely to the North, that their view that you could exist half slave, half free became impossible, because the court ruled that you can't do that. So when Lincoln was debating Stephen A. Douglas, the incumbent senator from Illinois seeking re-election, who would likely be and was the Democratic nominee in 1860, they clashed at Freeport, Illinois. And Lincoln asked Douglas point blank, "Do you agree that you can't have a free state? Do you agree that you can bar slaves from being taken into a state, or do you agree with the Supreme Court?" And Douglas hedged and hemmed and hawed, and finally he had to answer that yes, he did believe you could keep a free state, you could take away slaves that came into the free state, and that the Dred Scott decision was wrong. Well, that immediately typed Douglas for the South as being an impossible Democratic candidate. And they decided then and there that if Douglas were nominated by the North, the South would refuse to support him. And in 1860, when Lincoln became the Republican nominee, that itself is a story we'll deal with in another history video, the Republicans nominated Lincoln, and the Democrats nominated Stephen Douglas. But the Southerners walked out of the convention, refusing to serve under Douglas as a nominee, and they wanted a strong pro-slavery plank adopted. And in fact, the Democrats couldn't get two-thirds majority to nominate Douglas, so they had to go to a separate convention in Baltimore where they nominated him. And the Southerners walked out, and they nominated John Breckinridge, Buchanan's vice president, from Kentucky as their candidate. So you had the Northern Democrats and the Southern Democrats. And then for the good measure, a bunch of border states got together, Tennessee and Kentucky, and they nominated John Bell, who is a pro-slavery, pro-union candidate, to run on what was called the Union Party. So the Democratic Party fractured into three parts. And while Lincoln won only 40% of the vote, one of the smallest percentages for any victorious president in our history, he won the election because the Democratic vote was trisected. The only states Douglas won were New Jersey and one other, I forget what it was, but I think Delaware. But otherwise, Lincoln swept all the North, Breckinridge the whole South, and Bell the swing states. And that's how Lincoln got elected president. Now, we've got a very important election, the second most important election, coming up on Tuesday. And as you know, I believe Romney is going to win in a landslide. But I believe that after that election, we're going to go into the lame duck session. And then I think a defeated and embittered Barack Obama will have his revenge on the American people when he tries to persuade his lame duck Senate, also bitter, also largely defeated, to pass a series of treaties that will obligate the United States as part of a global government structure and surrender a lot of our freedoms. So please get a copy of our book, Here Come the Black Helicopters, where we talk about that.